Devesh Astogi, President of IC, All India IT and Electronic Manufacturers Association, and Chairman of FITA. Ongoing global disturbances have created a lot of problems for the industry on the infrastructure side and also on the confidence side. The uncertainties are resulting into various things which are leading to speculation and instability. Right now, the war in the Gulf between the US, Israel and Iran and the uncertainty at Hormuz has made an impact on the prices of petroleum gas, which has resulted into the increase in the cost of plastics. And the cost of plastic granules has multiplied by at least 200% now. And because of the uncertainty, industry is also under a lot of pressure how to make the product and how to sell the product. Especially the vendors who are doing the projects, they are not sure of the pricing. They will be able to complete their project. They have already burnt their fingers on the service and the cost of the because of the cost of increase in the memory and the storage. Now this hit is going to take a long toll for them. So impact is very high and industry has to sit down together and think about it, how to cope up with it. One of the suggestion is to avoid long-term contracts and to avoid giving long-term price quoting where the validity is 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. We have to work on the current pricing and keep some cushion for the working, which is very, very important for sustainability of the industry. The SI partners and the Indian brand manufacturers who have supplied the product in 3 to 5 years service contract and the warranties are facing very, very serious problems because of the increase in cost. So, and there is being no force majeure clause to cover these things, the problem has further increased. So we as the industry have appealed to the government to introduce a force majeure clause on these products. As a IC, we have worked with the MATI and we are expecting a mechanism for the storage and memory where the price index will be created and any changes in the price index will automatically result into the end product pricing in the existing contracts. But we are just keeping our fingers crossed and see how it is implemented. The proposal is right now with the central government and we are expecting it to go forward. So wishing all the best to all the industry. Thank you so much.
अगर हम लोग अमेरिका, ईरान और इज़राइल की वॉर की बात करें और उसका इम्पैक्ट आईटी में क्या पड़ रहा है उसकी बात करें तो कंपनीज ये कह रही हैं जी हमारी ट्रांसपोर्टेशन फ्रेट कॉस्ट बढ़ गई है और सामान महंगा हो रहा है, जबकि हमारी मेरा ख्याल है ज़्यादातर सामान चाइना से आता है और जिसके कारण वॉर का इम्पैक्ट उस पर नहीं पड़ना चाहिए. बट एक लॉजिक या बहाना मिल गया है कंपनीज को. 1 अप्रैल से लगभग हर कंपनी कह रही है कि हमारा रेट इतना इंक्रीज़ हो रहा है, हमारा प्राइस इतना बढ़ रहा है. अब वो बेनिफिट तो शायद कंपनीज ही लेंगी और बट एंड यूज़र और हम डीलर्स को तो प्रोडक्ट महंगा मिलेगा. वार का ये इम्पैक्ट तो पड़ेगा.
I'll briefly share how the ongoing US-Israel-Iran conflict is impacting Indian IT product exporters and the domestic IT market. At first glance, this war may seem unrelated to IT, but in reality, its economic ripple effects are much significant. First, the impact on Indian IT product exporters. The biggest concern is slower global IT spending. Clients in the US and Europe are becoming cautious, delaying purchases of infrastructure and enterprise solutions. This directly leads to fewer deals, longer sales cycles, and pricing pressure. Secondly, supply chain disruptions are already visible. Delays in semiconductors, electronics, and logistics are affecting delivery timelines. This creates both execution challenges and reputational risk. We are also seeing working capital stress, particularly for SMEs, due to this delayed payment and longer shipping cycles. However, It's not all negative. A weaker rupee improves export competitiveness, and importantly, India is emerging as a stable alternative to conflict affected regions. This opens long term opportunities. Now, coming to the Indian domestic IT market. In the short term, rising fuel and input costs are forcing companies to cut or delay IT investments, especially in hardware upgrades. At the same time, IT hardware is becoming more expensive due to increased import and logistics cost, leading to demand slowdown, especially among MSMEs. But here's the key insight, and this is very relevant to our business. The war is globally causing energy instability, and whenever there is power uncertainty, businesses prioritize continuity and uptime. This is leading to a surge in demand for power backup solutions and resilient IT infrastructures. So, in conclusion, while the war creates short term challenges like demand slowdown and supply disruptions, it also opens strategic opportunities because in uncertain times, one thing is certain: businesses cannot afford downtime. So, for the Indian IT product companies, the focus should be clear: resilient solutions, strong inventory planning, and targeting critical sectors like data centers, healthcare, and manufacturing.
Good morning, friends. I am Puneet Singhal, President CMDA Delhi, and I would like to give my opinion how the present geopolitical crisis, mainly pertaining to the ongoing US-Israel on one side and Iran on the other with their allies, how this situation is turning out for our IT industry. In my considered opinion, it's not only the IT industry which remains affected. I think the similar effects are being felt by many verticals, mainly, namely the mobile industry, the mobile accessory industry, and even the toy industry. Or we would just want to say that presently manufacturing in India is very much dependent on components which are and raw materials which are coming from China and some other countries. And due to the logistics issues which have cropped up, there is a shortage of ships, there is a shortage of container, there is a shortage of, you could say, material, because one industry is dependent on the other. So, by and large, there is an effect of inflation everywhere. This would definitely affect our exports, and as we would, sort of be uneconomical for certain people if our costs have gone up. However, on the other side, the falling rupee could attract some countries, as we would, sort of get cheaper in those terms. But I don't think that is really happening. The routes for the Gulf region and for the African side are quite affected, because Iran and their allies, they are trying to block the sea routes. Even air routes are being diverted and airfares have gone up considerably. I would want to mention here, which is a very sad aspect, that many of people who belong to our fraternity are sort of using this opportunity. Like I would say that they are, they are following the principle of Apada mein Afsar, to jack up the price and to extract more money than what should be normally charged, which is really bad and unfair. So I would request everyone to desist from this activity and not to, sort of find an afsar which is negative. The afsar to be found in this situation should be positive, and positive for the industry, for the country, for the world. So, by and large, things are going to go up. Exports may see a downward trend. Imports, as they have become expensive, and due to the ongoing AI issue which has created shortage of RAM and hard disk, already the business is sort of shifting towards refurbished stuff as well as need-based buying. So that too has had an effect in day-to-day business, and it has escalated with the war and the geopolitical situation. So we will need to wait for stability to come and then pass a judgment as to where we stand. As of today, things are not up to the mark. I think that is what I had to say presently. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Just a quick update on how the US-Iran Israel conflict may impact Indian IT exporters and the IT sector. Firstly, the direct impact is limited because IT exports are service-based and non-dependent on physical supply chains. However, I feel the way it is limited to the Gulf region, and Gulf is a big hub for Africa as well as some parts of the Asia for supply routes for certain IT products. This will have a short-term impact on pricing and supply chain. However, the indirect impact is very important. One, rising geopolitical tensions are pursuing and pushing oil prices higher, which increases global inflation. This puts pressure on clients in USA and Europe, leading to slower IT spending and delayed decision makings. We are also observing a rupee depreciation due to global uncertainty. This actually, I think for the short term, it benefits IT exporters, and as their revenues are dollar linked. There is a growing risk of global economic slowdown or recession, which can reduce discretionary spending on IT projects, especially in the areas like digital transformation. I think key global industries like manufacturing and pharma may face cost and supply disruptions, which indirectly affects IT demand from these sectors. I think on the positive side, Indian IT remains resilient and globally competitive. So the impact is not going to be severe as of now, but let's have a wait and watch policy and see how the things shape up in near future. Thank you.
You just heard the comments from various IT leaders in India about the impact of the war between US, Israel and Iran on the IT industry in India and on the IT exporters to West Asia. So far, Trump has already said that he has given 5 days to Iran to stop the war and open the Strait of Hormuz. But Iran has Iranian press has categorically said that there has been no such communication between Tehran and Washington DC. And Strait of Hormuz is a critical point of passage from where India gets almost 90% of its gas and almost 60% of its oil imports. Because of the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, oil and gas crisis has escalated in India, leading to the price hike, the fall of rupee, and the rise in prices in almost every sector, including the IT products. And because of the blockade of the passage and also the disruption of the air routes, Indian exporters of hardware to these countries are not able to export their products. So because of this, it is very critical situation, and at present there seems to be a bottleneck and there seems to be no resolution to stop the war, and open the Strait of Hormuz. India has followed a policy of negotiations, and so far, out of 22 ships of India, two have reached the Indian shores and two are reported to have crossed the Strait of Hormuz. This condition has to accelerate, otherwise the situation is going to be very critical.